Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Voodoo51292 here, and today is the first day of September 2014. It is a Monday. It is actually Labor Day here in the States, which means that most people are off of work, and I'm pretty sure almost everybody's off of school. I know I am today, and nice 3-day weekend to kind of start off the school year. So, welcome to the weekly ritual for this week. And we have a lot of stuff to go over. All right. Hold on. I feel a sneeze coming. Oh, there it is. Excuse me. Of course, I don't have to sneeze all day, and then when I start the video, here it comes. So we have a lot to talk about today because a lot of stuff happened over this past week, and we've got big plans coming up for the weeks ahead. So let's sort of get into it. In this video, we're going to be recapping the vlogs that I put out last week. We're going to be talking about the gameplay that I did last week. I'm going to be telling you guys about my pretty eventful and I think ultimately sort of disastrous weekend that I spent in Houston. And then we're going to take a look at plans for the upcoming weeks. Alright, so first of all, vlogs from last week. I put out a vlog that was completely random, was completely unplanned, and it was one of those things where it was very late in the night on Sunday night, technically early morning on Monday morning, and I couldn't sleep, and I just got in one of those inspired moods where I wanted to talk. And what I did was I made a video basically trying to be as adult as I could and to try to give advice to Darkside Phil. And I don't know if this was a good idea. Like I said, this is something I did at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted to, so I just made the video, and I uploaded it. I did not put advertisements on the video, because in the video I talked specifically about how this video was not meant for, it was not meant to be a cash grab. It wasn't meant to be, you know, oh, I'm running low on views and money, let's make another DSP video and get money out of it. It had nothing to do with that, so I did disable ads. But the video was long, and it was just me trying to go over the main points that I felt that DSP was struggling with, and you know, try to offer advice. I asked people to kind of spread the video around. Of course, not surprisingly, I've heard nothing to the extent that DSP has even acknowledged that the video exists. So I wasn't really expecting it, but it was just one of those videos that I felt like doing at the time. I did it. I uploaded it. And it sort of is what it is. Of course, it got lots of views. I thought it would, because every time that I make a DSP video, it does get a lot of attention. But that's why I took ads off of it, because I wanted to make sure that people knew that I wasn't doing this to get money or anything like that. But anyway, I uploaded that vlog. Before we continue, you'll notice I'm back in my normal spot here for these videos. The renovation of the room is pretty much complete in terms of remodeling the walls and everything. The only thing left to do is, you know, hang up art and stuff back up on the walls, but everything else is pretty much done. So I'm 100% back moved in here, and this is my normal setup, and you can see my new wall color and everything, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, speaking of that, that goes right into my next vlog that I put up, was another room update where I was showing you guys that the chair rail has been installed. I don't know, because I've never done a video in this spot since the work's been done, so I don't know if in this shot you can see any of the chair rail put up, but it was done by a professional carpenter. We hired somebody to come do it because we didn't feel like we could really do a good job of it, and we really didn't have time. So and I wanted to be back in here as soon as possible, so we hired a carpenter. He came in, and in one day while I was at class, he did all the work, and it looks great. You know, the rail is put up, it's finished, and I don't have to worry about it anymore, and the walls and all are finished. So I put up that vlog showing you the chair rail. In that video, I hadn't done anything as far as redecorating at that point. I had just moved all my furniture back in. You saw my dresser was still dusty and full of junk. Since then, I've actually re-put the shelves back up on the far wall, dusted those. I've dusted the whole dresser and took all the junk off that, and I have actually redecorated and put some things up on those shelves in the dresser to make it look a lot better. And when I do a few more things, like get some art up on the walls and stuff, then I can I'll do another video showing you how it's coming. So that was vlogs. Gameplay. I did Dark Souls 2 Crown of the Old Iron King. Tuesday night I was supposed to be returning with a stream on release night of the content. Unfortunately that night, Lizard Squad, the group that has been doing a bunch of DDoS attacks on major gaming places around the internet the past few weeks, they decided that night they were going to do an attack on Twitch. Of course, you know, the one night in 2 weeks I can come back to streaming is the night that they picked to spam Twitch. But anyway, they did. They attacked it, and Twitch went down for a few hours, and I couldn't stream it, so I just played it and recorded it. And in fact, Twitch, it came back on back online that night, but it's been having intermittent problems on a daily basis ever since that attack. So they still haven't gotten it 100% straight as far as I know. So I couldn't stream that night, and then I couldn't actually play the game again until Friday. And when I went back and played it, I did stream it. Naturally, nobody came. At this point, I just feel like, you know, I'm going to be streaming stuff, but I just don't anticipate anybody's going to show up anymore because people just aren't coming to the streams. And if people aren't coming, they're not coming. You know, there's nothing that I can really do about it, but I'll keep streaming it because why not? It doesn't hurt me to stream. And if people show up, great. If they don't, then it is what it is. And I record everything and put it on YouTube anyway. So people didn't come out for the stream, but regardless of that, I did 2 different stream sets on Friday trying to play the game. And I pretty much quit on the DLC because this DLC and the last one were both $10, and I felt that the 2 DLCs just have been nowhere near as good in quality as the actual game of Dark Souls 2. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if they're just looking for cash for these DLCs, if they've already moved on, they're working on something else, and so they're just not putting the effort in anymore. I don't know, but I really, really like Dark Souls 2, the game. I actually enjoyed it more than Dark Souls 1, but in terms of the DLC, I think it's pretty bad. And the reason I mainly quit this DLC is because there's a recycled boss that they used from the main game of Dark Souls 2, the most annoying, frustrating, broken boss, in my opinion, other than the optional bosses like Ancient Dragon. Well, technically he is an optional boss, but anyway, he's probably the most annoying, aggravating boss I fought in the Dark Souls 2 main game. It took me forever to beat him. They've recycled him in this DLC, and again, he's technically optional in this DLC, but the fact that, I mean, it's the exact same boss. They've changed like one little thing about him, and it's really not any different. So it's the same exact boss. They just recycled him. And it just seems like there's no effort anymore. Like they're not even trying. And somebody left a comment on my video telling me how to get around him to get to the end of the DLC. But honestly, I have such a bad taste in my mouth from how the 2 DLCs have gone, and the fact that they're recycling bosses now. I have such a bad taste that I don't really even want to go back and finish it. I just don't. You know, I just don't have any desire. I heard the final boss's DLC is rape as well, so I'm sure that it's probably just going to be more time, more frustration sunk into it. And it's just not worth it for me. I've run out of human effigies now, so I can no longer go human to summon if I need help. I can't do it anymore. And there's no way to really get human effigies in this game. There's no good way to farm them. There's no place to buy, you know, all the places to buy them I've pretty much bought out. And so I'm kind of done. And I'm not going to be playing Crown of the Ivory King, whatever it's called, when it comes out next month or this month. Because I'm just done. Like, I feel like they've put no effort into these DLCs. I feel like they don't care. So, if they don't care and they can't be bothered to make good DLCs, then I'm not going to be bothered to spend my $9.99 on it. I'm going to find something else to spend my money on. So, Dark Souls 2, Crown of the Old Iron King DLC, very disappointing. I'm stopping in the middle of it, and I'm done with the DLCs. Like I said, I didn't like the first one. I gave this one a chance, thinking it could be better. And I was just as disappointed. So, no more of that DLC. No Crown of the Ivory King, the final DLC. I'm not going to be buying it, just because I don't think they care. So that's the deal with the gameplay and the Dark Souls 2 DLC content. So after that whole week, this past weekend I have been in Houston, Texas. For the second straight year, LSU has opened their football season up in Texas. Last year they played in Dallas in the big big stadium where the Cowboys play, AT&T Stadium. They played there last year, and I went with two of my friends. We drove up there and saw the game. And this year they opened in Houston. And so this year my dad and I decided to go to the game. And besides the game, which I don't know if anybody here actually saw the game, but LSU played like garbage for definitely all the first half and most of the third quarter. They were losing 24-7 in the third quarter, and then somehow randomly, as LSU typically does, I don't know how they managed this, I'll never understand, but they flipped some kind of switch and started playing lights out, and all of a sudden just started dominating Wisconsin and outplayed them right off the field. We wound up scoring 21 unanswered points, and we won the game 28-24 after we played like just a horrendous team for most of the game. So I don't know how they managed to do that, but they did it. They came back and won, so that was really awesome to see. But other than the game itself, pretty much most of the weekend was a disaster. So I have a few stories to share with you. So anyway, we drove up on Saturday morning. The game was Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. So we drove up on Saturday, and really the drive up there wasn't too bad. It rained a lot the whole way, but we got there unscathed. It was fine. We were actually staying downtown in Houston at the Hyatt Regency, which is quite a ways from the stadium, but downtown Houston has this train system, or this rail system that has a bunch of stops on it, and it goes all the way from, I think it's like North Houston all the way through downtown to South Houston, which is where the stadium is. And so a lot of people said that when we were researching before we booked the hotel, a lot of people were saying, yeah, the area around the stadium is really not the best area, so it probably makes more sense to just stay downtown in the nice hotels, and then you can ride the tram system to and from the game. So that's what we decided to do. So we stayed at the Hyatt Regency downtown, and we got to the hotel. They had a valet parking service and all this. We went in, we ate a good early dinner. They have a Shula's Steakhouse there, so my dad had a nice big steak. I got a crab cake sandwich, which was excellent. Food was really good. So we had a nice dinner, and then it was about, I don't know, I'd say 5:15 maybe. And we said, well, let's go ahead and just go down to the stadium. We can get there in plenty of time. We can hang out, go in early, get our seats and everything, get some snacks or drinks or whatever we want. So the hotel we were staying was actually about 5 blocks from the nearest station on this tram system. So we had to walk a block down the street this way, then 3 blocks this way, and then about another block this way to get to the tram station. So what you have to understand too is where we were staying, the hotel was not in the nightlife area of Houston. It was in like the downtown business area of Houston. So there's not like bars and all this stuff going on the street where people are out all the time. It's the business district. So this was a Saturday, like nobody was out there. But when we were walking to the tram station, it was daytime. There were plenty of fans walking to the tram station or whatever. So it wasn't a big deal. But we got to the tram station, and the trams were absolutely packed with people. Like, it was ridiculous. It was like sardines in a jar sort of deal. The first tram that stopped, we couldn't even get on. There were so many people. So we had to wait for the second one. We got on, and still it was massively crowded. And it's public transportation too. So what you have to understand is a lot of people who are poor, and actually a lot of the homeless people in the area also ride these trams. And so unfortunately, we had a few residents there, I guess they were homeless people, they look like it, who were riding the tram. And of course you feel bad for these people, you really do, because of how they have to live. But unfortunately, they smell really bad, right? A lot of them are not mentally sound, so they talk to themselves a lot, and it's just sort of uncomfortable when you're slammed in these little tram cars with all these people, and you've got the other, like the homeless kind of people on. It just wasn't really fun. And there's a bunch of stops along the way that this tram makes to the stadium. So it takes a little while to get down there because you have to stop at every single tram station, and the stadium's sort of at the end of the line. Well, anyway, it was uncomfortable, but we finally got down there. We got off the tram, and that's when we went to the game. It was great. Got in plenty early. Got some beers. Got our seats. It was great. Saw the game, and then came after the game. And we didn't have our car, of course. We took the tram down there. We always thought we'd take the tram back. Well, we were talking and we were like, man, the tram was such a mess coming over here. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like trying to get back, because now everyone's getting out at the same time. And again, it was late. It was like maybe midnight at this point when the game was over. And so we said, well, also we have to walk back like 5 blocks to our hotel from this tram station. And like I said, it's in an area of downtown where no one is really out on the street, so that you can't really walk in groups or anything like that. It's sketchy. There's a bunch of homeless people on the road, sketchy people out there, and really nobody else. So we were like, yeah, we really don't like the idea of having to walk back 5 blocks at midnight in the middle of downtown Houston with no one around, right? So we said, all right, well, let's try to get a taxi home. So there was a parking lot where they were staging taxis. So we went over there. The line for the taxis, I'm not kidding you, was like, I don't even know. I mean, it was so long. Like, from the front of the line to the back, you could stay at the front of the line, you couldn't even see where the line stopped. That's how far it was. You would walk from the front to the back, and you would walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and it would never end. It was insane. So we said, Jesus. So we went to the back of the line, and we stood there. And we stood in that line for about an hour. We barely moved like 10 feet. And we were like, at this rate, we're not going to get home until like 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. This is ridiculous. So I was really against going on the tram, because at this point it was even later. It was like 1 a.m. and I was like, I really don't like the idea of having to walk back to the hotel through downtown right now. But unfortunately, we had no other options. We actually tried. There was a bunch of like private limousine services and all that had SUVs out and everything to take people. My dad tried bribing a few of them, paying them money to see if they would take us, and they refused to do it. So our only option at that point was to take the tram. So we went to the tram, and as luck would have it, we caught the final tram downtown. It was the last one that was running that night, so we were like, oh, thank God, So we get on the tram. There are quite a few people on the tram, because a lot of people left the taxi line to go take it. And again, you can tell when the places the tram stops between the stadium and downtown, it goes through some sort of not nice areas. Like, we could tell that on the way in, because it was daylight. A lot of poor areas and areas where it looks like you don't really want to be out at night. So anyway, and of course the tram has to stop there at every stop anyway, so we're like, oh Jesus. So we're going along, everything's fine. And then we get to a stop, we're like 2 stops before downtown, but it is one of the stops where it's not in a great area. Well, we stop at the we stop at the station, the gates open, and the tram just sits there. And we're sitting there for like 5 minutes, and the tram's not moving. And we're like, what is going on? Like, we don't want to be stopped in this area, we want to go home, why is the tram not moving? So, come to find out, there was an 18-wheeler that had gotten stuck on the tracks, and we couldn't move. So we had to sit in the tram. Like, I'm not even kidding, like 75% of the people on the tram got off. They got off and started walking, and we were like, we ain't doing that because of where we are. Like, we're not getting out here. We're just going to stay on this tram until they fix it. So eventually they did. It actually didn't take as long as I thought. It took maybe 15 minutes. They moved the truck. The tram, moved, and we got to our station. By this point, it was 2 a.m. in the morning. Well, that's redundant. It was 2 a.m. And no one was even left on the tram, because most of them had gotten out. So we get out at the station, right? There's nobody. Nobody around us. We're in the middle of downtown Houston at 2 a.m. We hauled it back to the hotel. And We got asked for money from homeless people. We were passing homeless people sleeping on the side of the road, who would or some of them would just be sitting there. We would walk by, they're staring at us. We're like, oh, please let us not get robbed or freaking shot or whatever in the middle of downtown Houston. Like, let's just please get back to the room. Like, that was nerve-wracking. I'm a very anxious person. I have a problem with anxiety. I really do. And I was having like a nervous breakdown between standing in the taxi line for that long, not knowing how you're going to get home, getting on the tram, then the tram breaks down in a bad area of town and sits there for like 15 minutes, and then getting off the tram and having to walk back to the hotel 5 blocks with no one around in the middle of the night. I was not happy and was kind of having panic attacks. And to boot that, we actually overshot the hotel when we were walking back. We passed it up by a block, so we had to turn around and walk another block back to the hotel. But in the end, we finally got back to the hotel. It was like 2:30 a.m. We went upstairs and just passed out. We were done. So we got up yesterday to come home, and we go down, and again, they valet park everybody. And the first thing we see when we go down there is that the valet line to pick up the cars is like all the way, the line is like through the whole lobby because they're slow and they can't get anybody's car. We're like, oh geez, you know, like what else is going to go on this trip? So we said, screw this, let's just go eat breakfast and wait it out. And you know, we're not in a big rush because you know we knew we had today off because it was Labor Day. So we said, let's just chill. So we went back to the same place, Shula's, that we had dinner, and they had a breakfast buffet, which it was okay, but whatever. So we got some food, and then we went back to get our car. It took about 20 minutes because most of the line had gone down by then. We got in our car and we, and we proceeded to drive home. At this point, I'm going to basically split the video here, put two together, so there's going to be a little transition in here. So enjoy that little transition. All right. So as I was saying, we got in the car to drive home, and we're like, all right, finally, you know, we're home free. We can drive home. We can just get home and relax. So we're driving home, and we got pretty far to home. We were just about 20 miles outside of Baton Rouge, which is about, Baton Rouge is, I guess, about 70 miles from home. So we were about 90 miles from home on the interstate, middle of nowhere, driving on the interstate. And all of a sudden, I guess there was an accident further down the road or whatever. But we're driving along, and all of a sudden, cars start slamming on their brakes because people are stopped or slowing down or whatever. Well, people start slamming on our brakes, and we slammed on ours, and we were able to stop before we hit the guy in front of us. Unfortunately, the guy behind us didn't stop in time. And boom, he smacked us. So he rear ends us, and he hits us into the guy in front of us. So we were in a 3-car accident on the interstate, and we couldn't believe it. I mean, after everything that had gone on during the weekend, to have this happen, which, I mean, it just doesn't happen. I've driven with my parents and myself. I've only ever been in 2 accidents. One was driving with my mom when it was a really long time ago when I was a little kid, and it was no big deal. We were turning, and a guy had a red light, and he was turning right on red and didn't look to see if we were coming, and he turned and he got us in the back, not very hard. That was the only other accident I had ever even been in. So the fact that the chances were that we were going to be in this kind of an accident at the end of everything this weekend was just amazing. So anyway, we pull off on the side of the interstate, and it really wasn't that bad of an accident. I mean, we were all slamming on our brakes. We weren't, the guy behind us wasn't going, 50 miles an hour and slammed us or anything. I mean, he was braking, but he couldn't stop in time. So he hit us probably going, 15 miles an hour, maybe 15, 20 miles an hour. I mean, he hit us hard enough to knock us into the guy in front of us when we had our brakes on. So it wasn't, it wasn't a little tap. I mean, he hit us, but it wasn't like a big deal. Nobody's airbags deployed or anything. But of course, My dad's car got the worst of it because we were in the middle. The guy who hit us, only his front end was damaged, and the guy in front of us that we got knocked into, only his back was damaged. But of course, my dad's car got hit in the back, so it was damaged, and then the front was damaged from hitting the guy in front of us. And their damage, the other two guys, really wasn't that bad. The guy that hit us was an elderly guy, and the guy that we ran into was just this nice, I don't know, young dude, late 20s, early 30s maybe. And the damage to their cars really wasn't that bad, but my dad's car kind of got the raw end of the deal there. So we pull off on the road. Of course, we wait for the cops. The cops come and takes a statement, and then we all drove and exited off the interstate because we wanted to get off the interstate, you know, because it's dangerous. So we got off on an exit and we sat there and went through the whole process. The guy who hit my dad, he was, you know, he took full responsibility. He said it was his fault. You know, he was following too close or whatever, couldn't stop. And so at the end of the day, all that happened was the officer wrote a ticket for the guy who hit us. That was the only ticket he gave, and we all got each other's, you know, insurance and all that other stuff. So at the end of the day, it really wasn't a bad accident or anything. My dad's car did get messed up. It's going to need a lot of body work, but he doesn't have to pay for it because the other guy took responsibility and he had insurance. So he just has to file a claim, and you know, it's a big inconvenience. But you know, at the same time, the car's going to get fixed, and we came out of it fine. Nobody got hurt or anything. But it was just, it was such a terrible end to what had been, other than the game, just a weekend of misery. It was just unbelievable. So we got in that accident, but after, it took about an hour to get everything sorted out before we could get back on the road. So we did. And then we finally made it home with no problem. So what a week or weekend it was in Houston. And on the drive home, I'm so happy to be home, you know. But at the end of it, we're all here safe and sound, you know. Only thing we came back with is my dad's car that's damaged that he's going to get fixed for free. So, you know, if that's the worst that happens on bad weekends, then I guess it's not, you know, the end of the world. But lesson I learned, if you're going to an out-of-town game, always just buy a parking pass for the stadium and just drive your own car there. I will never be reliant upon public transportation again. It's hell, and it's a really bad feeling when you're sitting there and you don't know how you're going to get home. And you have to rely on other people to get you home. And it's a bad feeling. I mean, I never want to be without transportation or anything like that again, because it's just not a good feeling. And I certainly don't want to be walking downtown to a major city at 2 o'clock in the morning with a bunch of homeless people all around again. So, you know, if I can help it. So that's the lesson. Even if you fly to the area, you don't drive your own car to the city that you're playing in. Even if you fly, rent a car and just buy the parking pass and drive down there, because then you will have your own car. You do not have to worry about public transportation, and you know, it's a little expensive, but it's worth it. It's worth it rather than going through what we went through trying to get home. So that's my life lesson for you folks. So that was my weekend in Houston. So now, what's coming up? Well, this week, there's really nothing to do. I'll be flat honest with you. It's going to be another week where there's not going to be any gameplay. There's nothing to play. Like I said, I'm not playing Dark Souls 2 DLC anymore. The games for PS Plus for September that are coming out tomorrow, they kind of suck, in my opinion. There's nothing really good coming out to play. And there's just nothing to do this week. And again, I got class starting back up tomorrow. And I am going to be out of town again this upcoming weekend. I'm going to Baton Rouge to visit my girlfriend and hopefully see a couple of my friends, because I'm not going to be seeing her in 2 weeks. She couldn't come this weekend to see me because she was really sick and didn't want to basically get me sick or get anybody else in my household sick. And so we're both really disappointed about it because we miss each other. We haven't seen each other in a week now, but you know, it is how it is, and I can't really afford to get sick if I can help it because of how busy school's going to be and everything. And so it's for the betterment. And, it's like come for one day and see me now and get me sick, or go next weekend for a full weekend where I'll be healthy and we'll both be healthy and we can enjoy our time. So Friday I'm going to Baton Rouge. I'm coming back home on Sunday. So even if I was playing something this week, it would only be Tuesday through Thursday. But I'm not going to be playing anything because there's nothing out. So this week will be a week pretty much of randomness and probably some random vlogs, to be honest with you, over time. I can't promise you what's going to be out this week. There might be another room renovation video. And of course there's always the possibility of my large life update vlog, but I told you last week I'm done making promises on that. But it's probably going to be another random week, guys, but that's okay, because starting next week, it's all done, alright? I don't know. I don't remember if I told you this last week because I don't remember what day I did this. But I pre-ordered Destiny, PS4, and Destiny comes out next week. I am playing it full co-op with Brandon. All right, and we're really excited about it because we haven't played a game co-op together in a really long time, and this game looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So next week we're going to be playing Destiny. Now, again, it's not going to be one of these where every night we sit down and play hours and hours of the game because I'm very, very busy. I've got, school is going to keep me very busy, and in a couple of weeks' time is when we start getting our first round of tests and stuff. So I'm going to have to be starting to study, look at stuff, and spend time on school. So I'm going to talk to Brandon about it. I'm sure he'll understand that I can't play it every single night. Weekends are going to be very busy for me again because I'm either going to be out visiting my girlfriend, watching the games, whatever. So we're going to take it as we can take it. When we've got free nights, we'll play the game, and we'll go from there. It's going to be a long ride, but I'm excited. There's really nothing coming out that I want to play until October anyway. So we've got a long time to sort of get through the game and progress. The game will be done in 1080p, full 1080p. I said that a while ago. All games that are in 1080p, I'll be recording at 1080p. And of course we'll be streaming. Now, I just mentioned my frustrations with the streaming in the past. I have absolutely no idea if anyone's going to show up for these streams. If they don't, that's a pretty good indicator to me that no one's ever going to come to my streams, because if they're not coming for a full co-op game that I'm playing with Brandon in full 1080p of a brand new major AAA release during release week, I got no hope. Nobody's going to come. So we are going to be streaming it. And I'm going to do everything I can to clear my calendar and everything for that Tuesday night, next Tuesday, which is release day, so that we can start. And hopefully we'll get to play a good amount Tuesday night. And then, like I said, as the days go on, we will take it on a day-to-day basis. If we've both got time to do it, we will play the game. And it'll take us a while to get through it. But it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And that's all starting next week. So, again, if anybody out there is interested in my streams, and you only care about coming to see me stream brand new games, next week is your opportunity to do so. It's a major AAA release, 1080p, all that jazz, and I'm playing it with Brandon, and usually when we play games together, it's a lot of fun, it makes good content, and it should be great. So next week is Destiny. Again, Tuesday, September 9th is the release day. And I'm going to do my best to talk to Brandon and get it to where our schedules are free Tuesday night so that we can sit down and play a good amount of the game on release day, stream it, and of course record it for YouTube. And that's what's coming next week. Alright? So this was a very long weekly ritual because I wanted to share with you guys my stories from Houston this week. I hope you enjoyed the little story. But yeah. Again, this past week I did the DSP vlog, I did another room update vlog, and I did up to the point where I got frustrated and quit on Dark Souls 2 Crown of the Old Iron King DLC. This week's going to be another slow week. There's really no games out for me to play. You'll probably see a couple of random vlogs here and there popping up over the course of the channel this week, so keep an eye out for those. Gameplay-wise, really nothing. Next week, Destiny co-op. Excited. Of course, I'll be talking all about Destiny in next week's weekly ritual, which will come a day or two before the release of the game. And I should have all the details for you guys as far as plans go and all that. And that's pretty much what's coming up. So, all right. Yeah. Sorry for the slow week, but next week it gets a lot better. So, all right. Thanks for watching this long video. Appreciate it. And that's really all I have to say. Yeah, that's it. So, thanks, guys. And I will see you soon, hopefully, with something. And then, of course, next week for Destiny. So, thanks a lot. Hope to see you soon. And bye for now.